measuring the time diligently in and of itself. Yahushua told us, that you shall see earthquakes in diverse places. This is the brother from Australia. As he's getting into this, man. A huge earthquake just happened in Australia, in Darwin, while lots of other events are taking place. Wars, rumors of wars, famines, pestilences. And of course, earthquakes in diverse places. Shalom, first and foremost, like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, double honors, hails and apostles of Great Millstone, who are teachers of truth and sincerity, and shout out to Yakims out there in the four quarters of the earth proclaim this truth. Braka the Yahweh, Braka the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, Brakatam.
Hey, shalom, shalom. I want to start by saying, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahushai, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahushai, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahushai, Kal Halama, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakodash, and also the honor to the apostles, the elder bishops, and the elders great wisdom who well, and also shalom, Jesus Yakim, and they pushing truth in the name of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakodash, who happen to be scattered around the four corners of the earth. And I'm back again with another lesson, and this lesson is going into this earthquake that took place within Australia, and I believe this, it might be the biggest earthquake to ever take place within Australia. I could be wrong, but it might be though, because I've been here in Australia since 2004, and Australia has, been hit by an earthquake over 7.2, magnitude. So this year it might be the biggest since I've been here. I don't know if there was any, biggest earthquake bigger than this that has ever, hit Australia, but hey, it is what it is. It took place, and this time it happened. This earthquake, it took place within in the middle of inhabited area, okay, where people stay in the city. People had to evacuate, so that's big, okay, and that was the northern of Queensland. The northern of Australia, okay, which is the northern part up top of Queensland. So it's not far from my state. When you go up north, it's it's basically connected with my state. But hey, what I'm gonna do is before I go ahead, I want to do this here real quick, right? Like Pastor Hart said, we live in the book of Matthew 24. Mark and Luke, Mark 13 and Luke chapter, I believe Luke 21, if I'm not mistaken. We're living in that time, and hey, Yahweh Hashem Yeshua is basically showing it, man. Okay, to these signs that we see taking place worldwide. So Matthew 24 and verse 6, and you shall hear of wars, rumors of wars. See that you've been in trouble for all these things must come to pass, but and it's not yet. So there will be signs of what rumors of wars, and that's what you see happening right now between Iran, America, Russia, Ukraine, China, Taiwan, also, you hear Australia be involved into altercations with China, I believe. Yeah, it was China. Things like that, man. Okay, those number one. I hear of wars, rumors of wars. Those things are happening right now. The Mugarats. Okay, the Mugarats in Iran. I should not know how to say USA because it's those Garats be involved anyway. And then you got certain nations over there in the land of Ham going against Chad as well. So we're in our time, okay. But it says see that you've been in trouble. Don't be troubled by these things, right? Why? Because for all these things must come to pass. These things are going to have to go forward. Eventually, the end of those rumors of wars is going to happen, right? Okay, but it's not the end of World War III. It's not World War III, right? So for all these things must come to pass. So those rumors of wars is going to come to pass, okay, and be out, because we know Easter is going to bring forth what? That peace and safety, okay, solution worldwide. When Easter trying to establish that reset, which is that new order, that's when the rumors of wars and all that is going to go quiet for a while. We don't know how long, but what they're gonna do is that these nations they're gonna conspire together and kind of trying to bring peace and safety type of a new order here. But that's not gonna be established. It's about the end is not yet. For nation should rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there should be famines. There's already talk, man. Okay, already talk about a shortage of food and also expenses, of food. Okay, crisis of cost of living crisis, which is bringing in what shortage, not shortage of food, but more of like it's hard to afford, food.
Yeah, in affordability.
Water and all that, man. All right. In pestilences, there's already disease. Okay, Ebola right now, it's being screened, I believe, in Zimbabwe, America. At first they were saying, it's being maintained in Congo or in Central East Africa, but now it's what is being screened over there in America. So, all we have to do is watch what Esau does with it, you know. When you go to the book of 2 Corinthians 2:11 tells you, man, we can't be ignorant of certain devices, so we're not going to be ignorant of what this devil, his evil plans are. And those evil plans of his, they don't even belong to him. I should even say evil plans of Esau. The evil side of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahshua, the plagues being sent by Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahshua. So what we have to do right now is watch and see what the Heavenly Father Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahshua got his devil, got his devil to play for him, All right. It says, and pestilences and earthquakes, and the main topic here, we're talking about earthquake that took place over there in the northern territory of Australia, all right, in diverse places worldwide. You see that? It says all these are the beginning of sorrows. All these are the beginning of what? Of Jacob trouble. All right. Let's go from there. Isaiah 26. '27, 28, right here. This is the book of Isaiah 20. No, it's not this one. It's chapter 26, right? Isaiah chapter 26 and verse second. Isaiah 29 verse 6. It says, "Thou shalt be visited of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahshua of hosts." All right, with thunder and with earthquake. You see that? That's how the world is being visited right now. All right. Thunder, earthquake, and great noise with storm and tempest and a flame of devouring fire. That's how Yahweh Hashem is going to visit the world we live in right now, or this kingdom of Esau. And that's what we're witnessing happening right now worldwide. Okay? Let's go from there. You know what? Let's go from there. It's like it. Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 2. Second Ezra chapter 9 and verse 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou see part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then thou will understand that it is the very same time wherein the hearts will begin to visit the world which he made. So, Yahweh Hashem is visiting this age of Esau that he gave him. Okay, to rule with him. It's being visited, through the plagues that you see taking place worldwide. All right. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes, and across the people in the world, earthquakes, there shall be seen earthquakes, and earthquakes are taking place right now worldwide. Now we have 7.2 magnitude of earthquake over here in Australia. That says a lot itself, man. All right. From there, let's I can make that. Let's go ahead and show you. All right, let's go.
7 days only, starting from only $5,600.
A 7.2 magnitude earthquake has rocked Darwin, forcing parts of the CBD to be evacuated. Let's go live to Kathleen Bazola. Good afternoon.
So that was within the city of Darwin.
Yep.
City.
Major.
Kathleen, has there been any damage?
At the moment, what we're hearing is mostly minor damage, mostly items being knocked off shelves during the earthquake itself. Earthquakes here aren't unusual given our proximity to Indonesia and the regular occurrence in the
Darwin is a large population, by the way.
People off guard. As you said, the 7.2 magnitude quake was recorded in the Banda Sea near Indonesia around noon, and then it started being felt here in Darwin about half an hour later. Workers here in the CBD in the high-rise building.
So to me, this again. Okay, you can call me conspiracy, whatever you want to call me, but it just sounds this right here. This earthquake was it's a man-made, man. Again, like I said, how about Shimsha is using Esau as his sport, all right, and he has given Esau that type of technology to tap into certain things, controlling weather, earthquake, tsunami, whatever you name it, tornado. Esau has equipment that can do that. Okay, those type of disasters, man, and this here is what it sounds like.
Report of really strong shaking feeling, computers being rocked, and they were actually quite scared with alarms going off that they did evacuate buildings here into the mall. Here's a little bit of what they had to say.
I think most of us were a little surprised and then realised that it wasn't just a big truck passing down the road. It was something a little more significant.
Computers were rattling and the door was shaking and, or, banging against the wall.
I was a bit freaked out and I can still slightly shaken a little bit, so it's not something you see every day.
Not something you see every day, but yet we're in the end times, so you will be seeing it a lot. Definitely a lot more.
An American is...
So, like everything else, though, things are about to get worse. So you're going to have economic woes worldwide, right? Difficult times. That's what we're living in, right? As we get closer to the return of Yahushua, beginnings of Jacob's trouble.
Somewhere right now, an American is standing at a gas pump doing math in their head. Somewhere else, one is staring at a Costco receipt. This is what it looks like when the cost of staying alive outruns the wage that pays for it.
Staying alive.
It really
Not so happy right now.
When our gas price is going to go down? When our gas price is going to go down? They're not.
No.
They're not. He fucked us over. And our kids will be shocked that we ever paid less than $5 for a gallon of gas. That's not how this works.
Is this a joke?
Nope. It's Gas America.
How afford this? Oh, great.
What?
I just worked out. That's the price before tax as well.
Oh, yeah. Yo, what's wrong?
There's no one to pump my gas.
I mean, yeah.
Bro, so the petrol's this expensive and I have to pump it on my own?
Uh-huh.
At least in England, they're robbing me like this. Someone pumps it for me.
Really?
Yeah.
And in Oregon.
Are you serious, man?
We just filled up a full tank and it's already at half a tank in just a few days.
You sound so paranoid right now.
I'm being serious.
Yo, what the heck?
Turn on the AC.
Why not? It's so hot in here, dude.
So open a window then.
Fine, chill.
Have you not seen the gas prices lately? You go test drive the car?
For what?
I don't run AC. That's just retarded.
Well,
What? I'm being serious. Come on.
And I ain't gonna lie, gas prices keep going up. Everybody better watch the fuck out. Because if I miss the X, I swear to God, I'm bagging up. I don't even play like that. I don't know why the fuck they playing with us, but bitch, I'm not. We're not gonna have 23 minutes to my.
Where you gonna go?
Move out the way.
Everyone is talking about gas, and everyone is talking about it like a wound. Here's the thing nobody wants to say out loud. Prices at the pump are not really set by the guy at the White House or the station on the corner. They're set by a handful of oil majors and refiners who've spent the last few years posting record profits while telling us shortages are the reason.
Yep.
The wound is the
He's
marker.
right.
Guess what? We're the ones bleeding.
Let's see how much it costs to fill up my Bronco in 2026. Gas prices are so crazy right now. Last time I paid $75. I think it's going to be $75 as well. What do you think?
I'd say 76.
Okay.
It's not working. I just put it on
And she's off. I don't even know if I did that right. Crawling back into your car. Guys, this Bangle line is crazy. Guys, it's already at $16. Oh,
This is funny.
Gas. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. I know, that is literally my cheap car.
I wish I could get 10 gallons for $40.
And it lasted a week. Why am I so awesome? I'm telling you guys.
What is she complaining about? 10 gallons for $40?
Watching my money go down the drain. $75 down the drain. Guys, watch this so she can get her $75.
Shit, she ain't even paying what we're paying for in California.
Mine said 76, and it was in the middle. 364 miles, and that would last me this week. Peace out, please.
And we're not even gonna get on how expensive these hygiene products be. Girl, I just paid $12 for some soap. Some soap! Niggas be having it so easy, they could just use a 10-in-1. They use the same soap for their face, for their ass. They wash their clothes with the same soap they use. Wash the dishes with the soap. Like, wow! See, with women, we gotta get a soap for the body, a separate soap for the face, a separate soap for the coochie. Then we gotta get a body, get a moisturizer for the face.
Yeah, you've been living in luxury too long.
Deodorant. And we're not even gonna get on
It's all changing.
That's a whole nother thing. You got wipes, tampons, pads, panty liners, diapers for the nighttime. I'm tired. And y'all lucky I don't walk around here being musty as fuck and actually care about how I smell. But baby, these prices is some mess. And don't let everything run out at once. Girl, $100 minimum. And that don't even be covering everything you need for real. That just be for like the essentials. Girl, I'm tired.
One of the issues is that the things that are supposed to be considered luxury and the basic items are priced similarly. The other day, I was looking into
air conditioners are a luxury, by the way.
Pickups usually cheaper.
I don't run them.
There was
I
a
run
$5 difference
fans.
between pickup and delivery, and they were both high prices. You go to
These motherfuckers never heard of, oh, if it's that hot, go use your water faucet, get your t-shirt wet, and then put your t-shirt on wet and run the fans. That's way better than paying for air conditioning, you stupid fucks. But you see, that's just it though. You know, all their normalcy and all that, it's all being changed. You know, day-to-day life is a luxury. But here we go. Here's more.
Hey everybody, Josh Siggers in a World Alternative Media here, and I think it's abundantly clear at this point that there is an overall agenda to make you sick, and of course,
yep, and they're doing it deliberate.
So many examples over the last few years, but now we see some strange contagions happening, and all due to crazy experimentation that's going on. And I think we know what the end results of this said experimentation will be. As we see, Google planning to release millions of mosquitoes into California as part of an effort to reduce the spread of mosquito-borne illness.
Yep, there we go.
We have Google. This out of again. New York Post. Why Google? Well, the technocrats are the new governance system, my friends. Google planning to release millions of mosquitoes into California to help stop diseases, says New York Post. And this is happening at the same time as we see crazy moves to...
Yeah, and I was watching Google Earth being built up when I was at college.
We have
about 20 years ago. Look at what Google Earth is now.
Syndrome. We have all this evidence that indeed the government itself has spread this tick that causes you to be allergic to meat and dairy as they push Bill Gates' fake meat along the way. We're going to go into this and more and what it all means because, again, this is something that directly affects you because the rate of exposure to this, the amount of ticks that are getting around now is insane. And this isn't like some fear about some pandemic. It's the fact that we have very evil people in power putting forward poisonous ticks and poisonous mosquitoes. And all is part of a vast biowarfare agenda. And we need to do something about it as individuals before we get into this, my friends. I urge people to check this point out. It's great for us feet. It's actually rigorously tested for all the toxic stuff. Having been Bill Gates. Why is he always involved in this stuff? We'll mention a bit more about that in a moment. But I want to get into what this actually says in this New York Post article so we can kind of get an understanding of this.
Yeah, so here we go.
Soon become a testing ground for one of Google's most ambitious public health projects. Yeah, they really care about us. Oh my goodness. The tech giant is seeking federal approval to release up to 32 million specially treated mosquitoes in California. So, they'll inject you. Remember, they were coming out with mosquito vaccines. Remember, they were mosquitoes that, without you being aware, were to inject you with mRNA and similar things. Horrifying stuff. We've reported on it many times before, and there's also evidence of robot mosquitoes, what they call flying syringes, which we've reported on time and time again. Flying syringes, of course, again, are ways that they could inject you. They've released this many times. They've done this in Texas. They've done this in Florida.
Yep.
So, from what I see here, this is blatant evidence of something similar, and it says it's over the next 2 years as part of an effort to reduce the spread of mosquito-borne diseases, including West Nile virus, St. Louis encephalitis, dengue, Zika, chikungunya, and yellow fever. Now, of course, we saw recently, I should say recently, it was a year ago, but a year ago was recently. It's just so much happens in the news now. A year ago seems like a long time ago, but chikungunya was all of the news coming out of China, and of course yellow fever, and we saw Fauci get treated for a disease, a mosquito-borne illness, allegedly, and again, interesting. Someone that's really close to one of these projects, perhaps. I don't know. Because I don't think that these things are actually Zika or chikungunya or West Nile. I think they are neurotoxins and poisons that are being spread via these flying syringes. It says the proposal is currently under review by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, which is accepting public comments through June 5th before deciding whether to issue an experimental use permit. Regulators have not announced whether or where any mosquito releases would occur if the plan is approved. And there's a nice, cute little mosquito face there. Yikes. Researchers say the latest proposal targets Culex mosquitoes, a species known for transmitting West Nile virus, and St. Louis encephalitis. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, West Nile virus remains the leading mosquito-borne disease in the U.S. Those viruses are already established in California, where they circulate naturally among local bird and mosquito populations. On Friday, a positive sample of West Nile virus was confirmed in Riverside County.
And Riverside's a wicked
part of
county.
Google's little-known debug initiative.
I've been to Riverside, I know.
New technologies aimed at reducing populations of disease-carrying mosquitoes. You know, I would take out the part of the sentence that says of disease-carrying mosquitoes and leave it at develop new technologies aimed at reducing populations. Because that's what this is about. Of course, they have been involved directly with the United Nations in the past through things like Agenda 2030, which is a major depopulation agenda. Rather than releasing, it says, biting insects, the company plans to release male mosquitoes infected with Wolbachia, a naturally occurring bacteria. When the infected males mate with wild female mosquitoes, the offspring do not survive, helping suppress mosquito populations over time. Some real wild female mosquitoes spreading all these illnesses. Because only female mosquitoes bite humans, experts say the releases would not increase the number of biting mosquitoes. Well, one would hope not. I mean, shouldn't that kind of go, it won't increase the number, it just changes the brain chemistry of these mosquitoes to bite more? That's a silly point. It says, and I quote, "It's a great concept and we're putting it to real use if it works," Chad Huff, public information officer for the...
So you see, he saws evil schemes.
Well, is there a deal or no deal?
Deal or no deal?
And you got this,
in Iran.
deal or no
and what
deal.
will the economic fallout be, realistically, here? Because we've been in this like artificial, fake paper world for quite a while now. Americans are feeling at the pump, of course. But at some point, all of this fake paper, the covering over, it's almost like putting up wallpaper over some really bad stuff. Like black mold on your wall, and you just put up wallpaper over
Yeah,
top of
this
it.
fake
Eventually,
peace deal,
it's-
which is never going to
eventually it's
happen.
in the hospital, and that's where we are
Hell,
right now.
they're
The American
firing back and
economy
forth
is
now.
nearing that point. Brandon Weichert, host of the NatSec podcast, he's been nailing this for months now, not only on our show, but back on Tucker's show and otherwise. And then the mainstream media comes out a few months later and then prints it, and then suddenly it's real. Like, it's so amazing how you know, now that the mainstream media has covered it, it's real news. But when Brandon covered it and broke the story 2 months earlier, they ignored it. Brandon, great to see you. Welcome back to the show.
Well, thanks for having me. That was a great segment with my buddy Larry Johnson, and I'll just plug it here. He's going to be on my show Monday. So it was a lovely preview. Thank you for letting me hear that. But you know, we in the media, you and I, as I think safe to say, described at one time as reporters, covered different beats. But you know, I used to think you get a big story and you break it. That's like the big. You know,
then everybody else wants it.
And lately, for several years, it seems I get a lot of big stories. I break it. You know, it gets traction, but it's not like what you think it's going to be because they ignore it. And by they, I mean the corporate media, I mean the official organs of the state. It's like, you know, the tree falls and no one hears it. Turns out they're listening. It's just not conveniently timed for their narrative control.
You're right.
And this information that's now being broke, as you rightly said, is months old. And it's sort of useless now, this information. If they had been talking about it and they had been promoting what I was saying back at the end of February, beginning of March, that might have made a difference on the policy level and might have actually influenced things for the better, but ultimately they just...
So pretty much breaking news is already news that was broke long ago, as you could tell. You know, the people that really break the news, well, they don't report until 2-3 months later, so how much more with everything else? Well, you already see how technology is, right? You know, that they had this shit back in the early 2000s, you know, so... We're just now seeing the release of it, but the government already had it long ago. You know, you see how this works, right? So any breaking news is really old. It was already a plan in motion, you see? That's how scriptures are, man. These plans were set in motion for a time and a day, and we're in that time and day now, the return of Yahweh Shai and everything leading up to it.
Was to sit on the story and wait until it was, you know, no longer helpful. Now it's just sort of a afterthought, and I think that's one of the most depressing aspects for me personally about how the news media works today. It's not news; it's narrative control, and it's having a real negative impact because the news is there to speak truth to power publicly, and they're not doing that anymore. They're carrying water for even now Trump, which is surprising to see these media people doing. But they're clearly, you know, wedded to this agenda in the Middle East, and they don't want to see any kind of, you know, threat to it, which is what I pose to them, obviously.
So at the heart of it, well, one of the pieces, I want to talk about the economy, the economic piece of this, which you've been all over, but one of the pieces is this military and the use of weapons here and how we've blown through these weapons. Now, you broke this story back on Tucker's show a couple of months ago, and Philip, maybe we can put up this graphic here, if we have it handy, showing the number of U.S. THAAD missile systems and otherwise that Sagar. So Sagar posted this today, but you know, and he says it will take 5+ years to replace 39 days of munitions used in the Iran war. What an absolute disaster! And of course, you broke this story back, I think, on Tucker's show.
That was
a number of months ago, that the United States blew through all of these weapon systems. And so when you see these pauses that we currently see, or a 60-day extension and all of this, I mean, what? And we're going to go back to fighting with what? We have Senator Blumenthal in the middle of Ukraine today saying that we've got your back. In what format? We don't have the weapons to send to Ukraine. What do we have?
Well, I'll start at the back first. The Ukraine thing, we are not going to have their back. If there's any silver lining in any of this, it's that we've blown through so many systems so quickly that are really, I mean, they say 5 or more years. I would say these systems are irreplaceable because I responded to Sagar, our mutual friend, and I said that's the best case scenario. You need to have access to China's rare earth minerals in order for us to even begin replenishing these lost weapons. And guess what? China is not letting us gain access to what they're calling dual-use rare earth minerals. So I don't actually think we're ever going to replenish these weapons in any meaningful way. So the silver lining is that when it comes to Ukraine, the president has never fully bought into Biden's war there. He's sort of let it continue on, but he hasn't really gone full bore the way Biden did in Ukraine. And so I think he's already using this as an excuse behind the scenes, the president is, to justify not sending any more aid because we frankly can't send any more. We don't have anything left to give. In fact, you're seeing, with the exception of those 5,000 troops in Poland, which is more of a personal favor to the new president there, who's a Trump ally, the president president is overseeing the dismantling of U.S. presence in Europe at this very, very important juncture in the Ukraine war. So in my opinion, the upside to this depletion
These shall hate the whore and burn her with fire.
Not be able and we will not be willing to provide any material support anymore to Ukraine, which is good for us, not good for the Ukrainians, but it's good for us. As for the other side of the story,
well, it could be great for the Ukrainians because that means they're done. Like, let's.
Well, I should say, right. The Ukrainian,
go home. We're done.
That's right. The Ukrainian regime, I should say, it's not good for the Ukrainian regime, which we've poured endless amounts of our money into. That we should not have. But so from the Ukraine angle, this actually might be good.
Right.
The downside, of course, is in terms of not just those precision-guided offensive munitions, the air defense interceptors, which we have relied heavily to protect both our bases in the Middle East, but also we've used it excessively. In fact, I was told yesterday by a source that the Israelis were astounded throughout the course of the war because we used more of our air defense interceptors to protect Israeli targets than the Israelis themselves used. And we actually were diverting the air defense systems away from our bases in the Middle East in those Arab states. We were diverting them to Israel to protect Israel, and the Israelis weren't even using theirs the way we were. One IDF general, apparently quipped to the source that I have over there, he said in March, he quipped to his team, he couldn't believe how wasteful the Americans were with their limited stockpiles of air defense systems. So even the Israelis were saying, what are the Americans thinking? Blowing through these stockpiles that they don't really have a lot of to protect us. They weren't even protecting the American bases. So anyway, my point is that we're not going to see these weapons coming back anytime soon because we don't have access to the rare earth minerals, and therefore there's no replenishment. So they're gone now. What does that mean at the larger level? A lot of these weapons are essential for the U.S. to, if something were to happen, and I'm not saying it is, if something were to happen, though, in the Indo-Pacific with a war with China over the Taiwan, or a war between China and Japan, or a war between China and the Philippines, or some conflict, we would require the air defense systems and the precision-guided standoff munitions to have any chance of protecting ourselves or rolling back whatever the Chinese are up to. And those systems are now in finite supply. They will not be tasked, I think, to any contingency because there's not enough of them, and we can't replenish them because the Chinese are sitting on the rare earth minerals.
So there you have it, though. Everything's exhausted from this current war, and that's why the delays. So you get it, And so what's left? Missiles, ICBMs, especially when you run out of fuel, right? And here's Nero in the presence today. Look at this.
Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who does lead and rule well. I want to say salutations also, and shalom also to you, hopeful like Akim, pushing out this word and truth and sincerity at the four corners of the earth. And sincere shalom also to Akim and Aqua for listening and learning, preparing yourselves here in these last days. All right, that is to the entire household of faith that is fighting this good fight of faith. The body and the church. To you all, I want to say shalom. Just the brother Quar from the DC camp. Just doing a quick lesson, real quick lesson. And I'm entitled this one, Nero Caesar. And I got this scripture on the screen because who we say Nero is today. Nero 47. All right. Now, is he going to be the one? Is he going to be the guy to bring this thing about, man? And you know what I'm talking about, Revelation 13, man. And I know the breakdown of the 666 number. I've seen apostles break that down. But as I was reading it, I thought this was quite interesting. When you go into the 18th verse, here is wisdom, let him that understandeth count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 603 scoring 6, 666, right? But I just happened to look this up, and it's a thing. It's a well-known thing when you look it up. We know it's Casti stigma. But look at this, right? When you go into the Thayer's Greek lexicon, 666. Right? When you go into the Thayer's Greek lexicon, 666, it says a mystical number, the meaning of which is clear when it is written in Hebrew letters. And you can see that Syrian Hebrew. It's Neron Quasar. It says Nero Caesar. Sometimes the Jews write Quasar for the more common, and it was going into it. It's just short. It just takes out the yah, and it says shortened form. And so when they do that, when they write it down or write it out in the characters, you see it adds up to 666. And Lord's willing, this guy be the one to bring this mark about, you know. So that's why I started with this. But you'll see it broken down, Neron Caesar. And when you add up those values, you get that. You can see the alpha, the numbers that's associated right here when you go to Hebrew resources.
Where it's the number of a man,
you know?
right?
So, I just thought that was very interesting, man. You know, that said that, and how some people break it down. You got a na, a ra, a wa, and a na. You know, which is 50, 200, 650. Oh, I might as well just go here. You know, and then you got the qua, the sa, and the ra, which is 100, 60, and 20. That's the values, man, when you add them all up. All right? But yeah, I'm not saying that's the exact number, but it's just that's how some of these people try to indicate that number. And it's spiritual that, you know, that guy's back today, because when you look at a Roman, because this is Rome all over again. You know, this is the new Rome. And that dude epitomized Rome. Okay? Just like fucking Trump. He epitomizes Babylon. The whole make America great again. You see? Yeah, I just think that, you know, I thought it was quite interesting when I was looking that up. So I just wanted to share it, you know? But when you add it up, they call it Hebrew gematria, Salakia. It's where they assign numerical values to letters, man. You know? So that name is not in the Latin spelling of Nero Caesar, but it's more so the Hebrew transliteration of that Greek name, Neron Caesar. All right? And that's how Greek speakers wrote Nero's name back then. And that's how our people, you know, the Jews back in the first century would render it in the Hebrew characters. All right? Caesar. Yeah, so again, gematria. It was what gematria. So that's how they call it, man. But you know what Nero did to us, and brought about that persecution and that blame. You know, so with the Great Fire in 64 AD, he blamed the whom they called the Christians, man. Which we were the real Christians. You know, he crucified us, and this is going to happen today. Where we're going to have, and they bring back the firing squads and all that. Those the instruments of the killing instruments. You know, they said that if we don't take this, we're going to be beheaded. And when you watch what Donald Trump did with the Central Park 5, you know, how much he just wanted them done. They said that dude, you read this scholar or historian Tacticus, he talks about how they burned us alive, man, and fed us to animals. You know? He was like the persecuting world ruler, man. And this dude has that same cruelty in him. The cruel Lord. So like I said, man, that dude epitomized Rome, and Donald Trump epitomizes America, man. He embodies it, that system. You know? And he wanted people to like worship him as emperor. And you got Trump wanting to build this like this golden ballroom, you know? And some people want to make statues for him, man. So again, I just thought that was interesting, man. I wanted to point that out. You know? So Lord's willing, you know, that was edifying. You know, I just thought it was interesting. You know, until the next one, we'll give all praise going on to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakwadash. Now I'll say Shalom.
Alright, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh.
That's the dream. I know this is lengthy, but this is what's going on. Dreams, visions.
Whose only begotten Son, our Lord and our Savior, whose name is Yahweh Shai, and double honors to the apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone who taught me this truth, and salutations to the elect, scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. My name is Amawon Gabar, and I'm back with another quick in transit whilst on the job. Lord willing, to edify quick, fast, straight to the point, to the Lord's elect. I'm not sure what I'm going to title this yet, but I'm going to play a video put up by the Hopeful Elect 3, and it's entitled Eve Shares a Dream Vision of SHTF. And the thought came to mind, remember, there's going to be a time like never before seen. Remember, there's going to be a time like never before seen. And that's pursuant to Daniel chapter 12 and verse 1, where it says, just going to quote it, paraphrase it quickly, but At that time, Michael shall stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people, and it shall be a time like never before seen. All right, but they shall be delivered. Just roughly paraphrasing. That also connects with Jeremiah 30. And these are the so-called apocalyptic end-time precepts that we always bring out, the doom precepts, because these are the times that are approaching, and we have to come in the spirit of prophecy, which prophecy means to say before, because the world has to know that there's been a prophet among them, and they will know that there's been a prophet among them. So the only way they're going to know that is through the prophets prophesying, which the prophets were sent early, the times. When the scriptures say that, you can read Luke chapter 70. The Lord sent his prophets be times. Many other precepts come to mind, but be times mean early and urgently. Like getting woken up out of your sleep because you're late for something. Whoever's waking you up, they're shaking you, waking you up urgently. You gotta wake up, or not. You know what I'm saying? But this is an urgent warning, an urgent message to those that fear the Lord. That's all. So I'm pretty much preaching to the choir, and the choir knows this song. It's on repeat, play it over and over again. So anyway, I'm gonna play the video. And Joel 2:28, the Lord said he's gonna put his spirit on all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy and dream dreams and have visions. And another reason why the Lord allowed this YouTube or the internet to flourish, it shows and it backs up and it validates everything that the prophets have been saying since day one. So these dreams and people having them, they're not coincidences. There's no such thing as a coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. And everything is spiritual at the end of the day. So let me play it. And like the brother put up, copyright disclaimer. So I'm just gonna play it, speak on it, quote a precept or two, and then that'll be that. Alright? This is edifying to the Lord's elect. A faith booster and a fear booster too. To fear Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, to fear the Heavenly Father through his only begotten Son. So listen up.
Hey everyone, I'm coming out here today to talk about the dream that I had last night. Excuse me if I have black, I just don't eat Oreos. But the dream I had last night was a mess. People laugh at me because
Pause that real quick. I have to take that call, so I can.
The dream that I had last night. Excuse me if I have black, I just don't eat Oreos. But the dream I had last night was a mess. People laugh at me because when I go to the grocery store, I try to get 8 cases of water a month. And then I always get double of everything if I can. And in my dream, there was no power, no grocery stores, no gas. You couldn't get in your car and drive. We had no gas, no food trucks. It was a famine. There was a whole bunch of sick people. There was some kind of virus out. But a lot of us were isolated. We were pretty much sheltering in place. And I seen these 3 people trying to break into my house. And I'm like, oh no, I can't let them know that I got all this food and water here, because if I let them know, they'll probably try to hurt me to take all my stuff. And I had cases on cases of water. And they was just like, we don't have anything. I was like, I've been telling y'all on TikTok and on Facebook to stock up. I said, but y'all never thought anything was gonna happen. So what I tell you from what I'm telling you is that it's coming. It was a blackout. And it was going on for a long time. It went on for a good little while, probably about a month or close to a month. And it was bad out in the streets. You had people robbing other people. You had people robbing. Nobody really had any money, so they were robbing people's food. And then you had some people helping each other. And it was really bad. It's just like the hood on steroids times 20. It was real bad. But in the dream, it was just like The Last of Us. It was just like sickness. Just people like zombies just walking around. It was just bad. It was real bad. But God was still there. God still seeing us through. You had people that had God in their lives. It wasn't as bad on them. They knew that God would provide. But I love y'all. Be easy. Stay prayed up during this time. Make sure you are in God's will. Make sure you have a prayer life, because you're going to need it. Make sure you stay faithful. Make sure your faith don't waver, because with times like this, it'll make you doubt. It will make you lose your faith. But stay prayed up, because You stay prayed up, you stay in God's will. When these hard times come, He gonna protect you. I can't make it without God's protection. I cannot make it without God at all. So make sure y'all just get your hearts right. Stay in the presence of the Lord. Because you'll be amazed that you being in the presence of the Lord, God will have it fixed to the point that you won't be hungry. Because in the dream, I had all this food, but I had no hunger because I had the Lord. Because you live not out bread alone, but only out of the words that proceeded out of the mouth of God. And you need that word daily to be able to function, to be able to just make it throughout life. But I love y'all. Be easy. Have a good one.
She ain't tell no lie. Except, his name is not God. It's Yahweh. Which means He exists. And His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shah, He's the deliverer. He's going to deliver His elect from the coming destruction. So, a whole month, the entire month of a blackout, that is extremely long. That is, because a week, if this place goes blackness, I see chaos. I don't see chaos the first day, not even the second day or third, but about a week I can start seeing chaos. When people's stuff start running out. A month, it's super chaotic. And if they allow it to go a month, then you already know it's going to be straight up chaos. And out of chaos comes order, which is the motto of the NWO and the wicked elites, and their agenda is order out of chaos, order out of chaos. So this thing is getting ready to come, and I've thought about that before too. The Heavenly Father can make it to where you don't get hungry. We know that the Lord is going to provide and sustain for us the food. Alright? The Lord is going to bless us. We have the Lord's elect. But the scripture said, behold, my servant shall eat. So, brothers, don't worry about it. There's plenty of scriptures that gives us examples on how the servants ate. When Daniel was locked up, I read that yesterday, Bell and the Dragon. When Daniel was in prison, he ate. Habakkuk was transported by an angel to feed him. And that's the Lord showing miracles, because the Lord could have fed him anyway. He could have had a prison guard sneaking food, but the Lord chose it to have it to where Habakkuk would be grabbed by the head, the hair, and transported with force over the lion's den where Daniel was at. And Habakkuk would give him the food that he was cooking. That's to show miracles. That's something for us to read about. That was miraculous for Daniel. It was miraculous for Habakkuk. And it's miraculous for us to read how miraculously the Lord can do things. The Lord can grab you up and just transport you where you need to be, when you need to be there. So that's a small thing. But all hell is getting ready to break loose. That's the bottom line. These dreams aren't coincidences, like I said earlier. People are having them, and they line up with prophecy. They line up straight up with prophecy, and that's going to happen also. There's going to be invading one another because of the lack of bread. As the scriptures tell us, there's going to be invading one another, and sword in their hands, against brother, against neighbor. Why? Because of their pride, the city is going to be troubled, and for the lack of bread and great tribulation is going to come. People are going to spoil each other's homes, searching for food and looking for food. People are going to be searching, and they're going to be in a state of desperation. They're going to take matters into their own hands, not regard their kings nor princes, which is the law, the governments. They're going to do what they need to do in order to survive. And the Lord got us. She even made the statement that those that believe in God were also being tested in so many words, but we're all going to be tested. And then the ones being tested of the righteous stock will be seen by everybody else, and they're going to know that there's been a chosen prophet among them. So this thing can't pop off any sooner, bro. We're waiting for this shit to go down, waiting for this place to be destroyed. Our is out sooner than we think. So like I said, it's going to be quick, fast, straight to the point. Just wanted to hit the button on that. Lady, Sister Eve had this dream. Shit in the fan, blackouts. When the lights come on, it's going to be a new world, a new system, a new establishment, wherein this man is going to push the MOTB, the mark of the beast. Revelation verse 13, verse 16 on down. You know? Hey, let it be, bro. Let it happen. All praise to Yahweh, Yahweh, Shabbat, Shemakabidash, for this truth, for this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and the ability to be stable in these times. So, that's it. Get in order before this shit fall out of order. Yahweh, Yahweh, Shabbat, come to the Lord's elect. Till next time I say, Shalom, stay humble, and stay blessed. Shalom.
How do you like that? The internet's down. Salakia, the internet went out, so I had to fix that, and the video stopped. So, alright, back now. U.S. will no longer bankroll wealthy NATO members. U.S. Secretary of War declared America needs partners, not protectorates, amid dispute over the military's block burden sharing. U.S. will no longer subsidize the defense of the wealthy allies, Secretary of War said, reviving long-running dispute between D.C. and NATO's European members over military spending. So, like everything else, though, you know, they're not going to put any more money, especially into this war against Ukraine, like the previous video said. You know, Hegseth linked Trump's administration push for higher allied defense spending to its broader strategy of shifting resources towards Indo-Pacific and countering what he described as Chinese hegemony in the region. The era of the U.S. subsidizing the defense of wealthy nations is over. We need partners, not protectorates. We seek alliance built on shared responsibility, not dependency. So, like everything else, though. Well, that's good that you're cutting off your allies, man. It just makes you closer to your death day, man. You want to talk about D-Day? Babylon the Great has a D-Day coming up. Trump pushes for last-minute changes to Iran peace draft. I mean, they're already attacking each other. I mean, it's going back and forth, you know, so I don't even see that as a peace agreement, right? U.S. President Trump toughened the terms of peace talks with Iran. On Thursday, two countries agreed on a memorandum understanding that it would extend the ceasefire reached in April for another 60 days and restart negotiations. A day after Trump summoned National Security Secretary Advisor to the White House Situation Room. According to the New York Times, Trump became concerned about provisions in the proposed agreement that would unfreeze Iranian assets and grew frustrated with the pace of Tehran's response. So, like everything else, you know, under the guise that they want a nuclear weapon, which you already know that Iran's not seeking a nuclear weapon. They're looking for energy, but you know how the U.S., the Israeli state is attacking under the pretense of Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. IRGC shoots down intruding U.S. MQ-1 Predator drone over Persian Gulf. So they're constantly shooting at each other, firing at each other. It's not a ceasefire, it's a fake ceasefire if you hadn't caught the previous video. IRGC air defense units detected and successfully shot down an intruding MQ-1 Predator drone belonging to the aggressor U.S. military shortly after it inroads upon Iranian airspace over the Persian Gulf. IRGC emphasized that Iranian airspace over the country's territorial waters is under full control of its air defense units, warning that any intrusion will be met with decisive response. So, yeah, it's turned to shit. And they keep on losing shit too, you know. U.S. blockade of Strait remains in place, says Pentagon douche. U.S. blockade of Strait is still in place, U.S. War Secretary said on Saturday, and warned that D.C. is ready to resort to military action. Blockade will very much be in place, Hegseth the fucking douche said in Singapore, where he addressed the Shangri-La Dialogue Security Summit. Once the deal is had or not, depending on the choice they make, it will be an open strait, a toll-free strait that the entire world can use, which is the way that it should be. It's like, well, you're the ones that had caused all the damage to Iran to where they have to have a toll. U.S. fighter jet missile at Iranian-bound cargo ship, so they just attacked another vessel. So it doesn't really look like a ceasefire. That's why the whole thing's fake anyways. U.S. terrorists disabled the vessel approaching or attempted to breach the blockade near the strait. Central Command said, yeah, because the U.S. says that they're in control of the strait. The U.S. aircraft fired missile at a cargo ship in the Gulf of Oman while enforcing the blockade against Iran, U.S. Central Command said. The latest military action near the strait took place as peace talks with Iran failed to produce a breakthrough, despite optimism expressed by U.S. officials last week. So, like everything else, it looks more like it's closed, but they're still talking about a so-called ceasefire. It's fucking hilarious. But remember how news is, right? You know, they tell you things way after it already happened. United Arab Emirates joined U.S.-Israeli war against Iran from the outset. Wall Street Journal reveals United Arab Emirates carried out strike against Iran alongside U.S. and Israeli state from the very start of the war, operating as a third member of a coalition. So, Iran already knows about this. It's, you know, now they just finally admit it. Before the conflict, Gulf states publicly insisted that they would not allow their territory or airspace to be used for military action against Iran. Reports suggested that Abu Dhabi abandoned the position at the outlet of the war. Iran responded by targeting Gulf cities, airports, and infrastructure with missiles and drones and attempted to raise the cost of the campaign. United Arab Emirates absorbed the bulk of those attacks with more than 2,800 missiles and drones directed at the country. So, they were more than complicit, but, you know, complicity is still the same thing. IRGC Navy, 28 commercial vessels permitted to cross Strait of Hormuz in past 24 hours. Again, the rest of the world ain't blocked. It's just the U.S., the Israeli state, and anybody with those two. IRGC Navy said 28 commercial vessels passed through the strait over the past 24 hours after receiving permission and coordinating with their transit with the force. The statement issued on Sunday. IRGC Navy said these vessels included oil tankers, container ships, and other commercial ships navigated the strait under security arrangements and coordination with the force. Persian Gulf belongs to the Muslim countries of the region, and the most important reason for its insecurity and the aggression and mischief of the U.S. American terrorists. Hey, at least they're calling it what it is. American Terrorist Army read the statement. It also stressed that the smart control of the strait is being carried out continuously with strengthened authority. So, like everything else, though, you know, they're the ones that can give safe passage. You know, Lebanese President Premier met to discuss military talks with the Israeli state. So, you know that Lebanese government, that's non-Hezbollah, is just another Israeli state in Levant, because pretty much they control Lebanon, they control Syria via the terrorist groups. And yeah, Lebanon is no exception to that, because Hezbollah is the only really defensive government that they have. But you see how the Israeli state refers to Hezbollah as a terrorist group, which in fact they're the ones fighting the terrorists, and they fought against Hayat al-Sham and ISIS the whole time, you know, to keep stability in Syria. But, you know, of course, the Israeli state wanted ISIS control of Syria so they could do what they want in Syria, and you see how that is. Well, the same thing with Lebanon. Lebanese president and prime minister met on Saturday to discuss the U.S.-hosted military talks with the Israeli state. Lebanese delegation reaffirmed its commitments to prioritize a ceasefire, which is a fucking joke. Meaning further address the security situation in the country and the daily monitoring of the situation of people forcibly displaced from their homes and properties, said the presidency. On Friday, the Pentagon hosted military delegations from Israeli state and Lebanon to support peace negotiations between the two countries. Well, a lot of good that does, because they're still firing against Beirut and against southern Lebanon. There ain't no fucking ceasefire. Euphrates flooding displaces thousands in Syria's Deir ez-Zor. Now this is interesting, because you have it drying up in many areas, and now, after the release of some water, now it's flooding certain areas. Syrian authorities opened dam spillways. Well, there you go. That's why. For the first time in 3 decades, as rising Euphrates waters displaced thousands across eastern Syria. More than 2,400 families in eastern Syria's Deir ez-Zor province have been affected by severe flooding after water levels in Euphrates River rose sharply. The flooding with Syria's Ministry of Energy was caused by the abundance of the current rainy season, and the opening of floodgates at dams located along the river in Turkish territory has hit Nero and neighboring Raqqa hardest since the surge began on the 26th of May. Now, like everything else, though, everybody knows that during the war against Bashar al-Assad, that Turkey had cut off the Euphrates River, and pretty much was controlling the water as a way of trying to cause a famine over there, in which they did. Many Syrians were not getting water, did not have access to water because of Turkey's, pushing for the terrorist groups to take over Syria, which was a long deal that they had. That Hayat al-Sham, which is what they're called now, but they were originally called the Free Syrian Army. Also, al-Jabhat al-Nusra, and many other names, Takfiri terrorists, Daesh terrorists, all supported by Turkey. Describing the rise in flows from across the border as unprecedented, the ministry confirmed that it has opened the spillway at Syria's Euphrates Dam for the first time in more than 30 years to relieve pressure on the structure. Well, of course, because they got the leader in that they wanted. They got the terrorist leader. So we know that major prophecy is about to take place, and this is a timeline, but you can see that everything's been leading towards that Third World War. If you hadn't caught the previous videos where it showed that the Euphrates River was dried up. But this goes into even more, the Third World War that comes quickly, as you can see with everything that's happened against Iran, and that Turkey and Israeli state will be at war very shortly here, because once the Israelis have their way with Iran, they've already threatened to invade Turkey. And Turkey, will eventually have Russia backing them. All these countries will have Russia backing them. And it's going to be a lot more than just Russian intelligence, that Russia's going to have their army coming. But nonetheless, though, just before that, of course, the MOTB has to be mandated. You see everything pushing towards that. We sound like a broken record because that song is on repeat. But we're singing the song of the 144,000. So hopefully all this is edifying as I read this here. Revelation chapter 9 verse 13, and it reads, The 6 angels sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar which is before Yahweh, saying to the 6th angel which had the trumpet, Loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. So this is a major area because it goes into both Iraq and Syria. So you know that this is mostly talking about the Third World War, again, where the nuclear war comes into play. And the 4 angels were loosed, prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year to slay the third part of men. Which, of course, it's talking about the ICBMs. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000. And I heard the number of them. 200 million ICBMs will be launched. So you know that Euphrates is a huge topic. And so you're seeing it right before your eyes. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them having breastplates of fire, and of jackets and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions. And out of their mouths issued fire and smoke, and brimstone, thus talking about the warheads that come off of these devices. By these was the third part of men killed by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths. You know, so like everything else, though, it's talking about what's about to take place. For the power is in their mouth and in their tails, for their tails were like unto serpents and had heads, and with them they do hurt. These heads are talking about nuclear warheads that are going to be launched from these. So, you know, for their powers in their mouth and in their tails were like unto serpents and heads, and they do hurt. And the rest of the men that were not killed by these plagues repented not of their works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone and of wood, neither can see nor hear nor walk. You know, and that's talking about the rest of the world that didn't get killed in the Third World War. Neither repented they of their murders, nor their sorceries, nor their fornication, nor their thefts. You know, they still remain. But, you know, slavery is coming to those that remain. You know, because there's going to be a whole new order. The real new world order will be when Yahushua takes the crowns from all the kingdoms. And he becomes King of Kings and Lord of Lords, which is what he is already. But he's going to show that. He's going to display that when he takes away from all those that are in power now. So hopefully this has all been edifying. For that I want to say, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakal Kadash, Wa Abba Babal. Brakatam, Jehovah elect, and hopefully you stayed with this video. Salakia for the long pause in between videos and getting this on. I had to fix the internet feed. Shalom.